From our studios here at Kukumlemle in Accra, hello, good evening and welcome to Joy News Prime. We're live on DSTV channel 421, GoTV channel 125 and around the world on myjoyonline.com. My name is Faustina Safo. Tonight, after years of intense mediation, Ghana finally gets close to resolving the age-old conflict that plagued Bawku and its environs, with the presentation of a mediation report by the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei II to the President. Also tonight, Supreme Court holds Pandai Parliamentary rerun scheduled for December 30, 2025, pending the determination of Matu Yindam's certiorari application challenging the High Court's decision to annul the December 7, 2024 election results. Also tonight, Greater Accra Regional Minister issues directive to all metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives to ensure that street lights provided to them are fixed and functioning within 1 week. We have details of this and more here on Joy News Prime. My name is Faustina Safo. Please stay for details. Thanks for choosing us. Tonight, after years of prolonged conflict resulting in the death of hundreds of people in Bawku area, Ghana is finally getting closer to resolving the age-old conflict as the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei II presents a report on his mediation efforts to President John Dramani Mahama today. This report and the efforts preceding it has been labelled by many as the closest Ghana has come to settling the age-old conflict. Here are excerpts of the Asantehene's submission to the President at the Jubilee House earlier.
The statement read in part: the return to Bawku on 24th October of Mr. Saidu Abagari, who was illegally ensconced as Bawku Naba in February 2023, subsequent to the vacation by the Court of Appeal sitting in Kumasi of the warrant for his arrest, has led to significant disturbances affecting public peace and security in the area. The government did not in any form or manner confer legitimacy on Mr. Saidu Abagari. As I indicated from the beginning, I was requested by the new Patriotic Party government to mediate in the matter. President John Dramani Mahama, who assumed office on the 7th of January, endorsed that I should proceed with finding an amicable resolution to the current situation. The parties in this dispute have willingly submitted themselves to the mediation process. The Bawku Naba Sigiri Abugaragu Azoka has accorded me enormous respect and personally led his delegation at all times to my palace whenever invited. My brother, the Nairi, has for very good reason, sent a delegation of his elders and sub-chiefs at all times that I have requested him to come. They all express confidence in the process and believe that we will be able to work towards an amicable outcome. I started my engagement with my brother, the Nairi, by appealing to him to magnanimously recognize the position of the law that the Kusasi should rule themselves. After careful consideration, the Nairi made some concessions but gave some conditions for my consideration. Essentially, my brother, the Nairi, wanted the historical acknowledgement of his ancestral ownership of the entire land that now constitutes the Bawku traditional area. He acknowledged that the Kusasis have come to largely occupy that area. Both Kusasis and the Mamprusis who are now occupying those lands are his children. He observed that as a result of colonial interference and interference of various governments, Kusasis have asserted self-rule and now lay claims to the chieftaincy of the area.
President Mahama expressed gratitude to the Asantehene and his team for the mediation efforts and said that government will issue a statement within the next 24 hours on the way forward.
When I took over from my predecessor, Nana Adodankwa Akufo-Addo, in the security briefing he gave me, he mentioned that he had invited Otumfuo to be the sole mediator in the conflict that was raging in Bawku at the time. And so shortly after I took over, I paid Otumfuo a visit to confirm, the status of mediation and whether he actually had accepted to mediate. And he confirmed that he had. And so even though the mediation has been long, and I can understand the complexity of the Bawku case, and so it needed time and patience to be able to thoroughly engage all the parties and be able to flesh out the facts and finally come out with a recommendation. Today, I'm pleased that we have come to the end of that journey, and we're embarking on the next leg of the journey. And as he himself said, this was not an arbitration. An arbitration normally will make an award on who is right and who is wrong. This was a mediation, and the next leg of the journey is to reconcile our two brothers and sisters from the Kusasi and the Mamprosi.
Well, let's explore this further here on Joy News Prime. Join me now is Asama Boateng, his former chieftaincy and religious affairs minister. We appreciate your time here on Joy News Prime. I'd like to start with your readings into today's meeting. The Asantehene athletes made public portions of the report. What's your thoughts about the way forward? Mr. Boateng, I'm hoping you can hear me now. You have to unmute for us to hear you clearly. I just want to get your thoughts.
To hear you.
I'm hoping you can hear me now.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you repeat your question?
Great. I just wanted to get your readings into today's mediation efforts. At least the Asantehene gave us portions of that report, just looking at the way forward for Bawku. Your thoughts?
Well, first impression is that I'm happy and glad that we are on the road to the lasting peace we've all been hoping for. I was the Minister for Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. The President, former President Nana Akufo-Addo made me aware and stated quite clearly that it was a government priority, and I also acknowledged it. And if you quite remember, that was my number one attention. In fact, I was sworn in on Tuesday, the 4th of April, 2023. And on Friday, the 7th, I was in Narigu. And then the following week, which was the 14th, I was in Bawku proper. So I began the whole discussion there, and they're both my old men. I mean, they are my fathers, I call them. And I basically was direct with them and said, look, you cannot be fighting yourselves. It doesn't work that way. Well, it doesn't matter how long you fight, you will still have to talk. And by that time, we've destroyed all the generations yet coming up. And so they understood it. But we needed some forum which we could have started listening to both sides properly, not just me on my own. So I reported back to Cabinet, and Cabinet took a decisive decision that we should get the Otumfuo Asantehene as a sole mediator. So I traveled to Benshia, and in front of cameras, I informed him of our Cabinet decision. And so I'm glad that in my handing over notes, as well as the President's briefing to the incoming President then, John Dramani Mahama, who is now the current President, these issues were properly highlighted. So I'm happy. I'm excited that there's a continuity of the nation Ghana, that one government finishes or finish service on an issue, another government takes over and build on it. And today I'm happy.
Practically on the grounds, how do you feel that we can enforce some of the key recommendations by the Asantehene?
Well, that is the difficult part in a way. I'm happy though, but I'm also cautious. Having been directly involved in knowing the actors and everybody. But so far, I have been talking to them since I left government in January, and I'm still family. I mean, they call me brother, and I reach out to the youth as well. And they have positive approach. That is my happiness so far. The old stage where there was a bit of anger, bitterness, seems to be giving way. And that is good, positive news. But we need to do more. The youth basically has nothing to do. And so we need to find the next level of engagement of the youth in particular. We also need to look at some, I call it a compensation in a way. There are both sides, and even the Mushi side, who are, sometimes we miss the Mushi angle. They are not part of it, but they get drawn into it. There are some areas that we need to find some compensation to some people and families. And then we also need to get some activities going, either through sports or through some other recreational activity. And the market in Bawku is a central commercial element that we need to find a solution. When the two sides meet in the market, it used to be very, very buoyant, very, very businesslike, and then everything was going on. Then the same market became the battlefield. So that is an area that going forward, after the president's response, hopefully in the 24 hours, which I'm very happy. I mean, it shows a very actionable speech, and that is the way forward. When there's an issue of death, we can't sit on it and wait. We have to move faster. So I'm happy. So there are elements of the report we need to look at, going to the ground, first to Naligu, and then also to Bawku, and also going down the actors, the Peace Council, the National House of Chiefs, and Otun Force emissaries. So those are the tripod that we should also rely on, not the politicians. We need to stay in the background. We can talk to ourselves. And I reach out to both sides, both politically and the chiefs. But I don't talk about it so that they can trust you.
Thank you so much for your time here on Joy News Prime. Away from that, the Supreme Court has halted the Pandai Parliamentary run scheduled for December 30, 2025, pending the determination of Matu Yindam's Sessorara application. This decision comes after Matu Yindam challenged the Tamale High Court's ruling, which annulled his 2024 election victory due to alleged irregularities. The Supreme Court's intervention has put the Electoral Commission's plans on hold, with a case adjourned to January 13, 2026. Matu Yindam's lawyers argue that the High Court lacked jurisdiction as the petition was filed outside the constitutional 21-day window. Fatal Bayaga was in court. He filed this report.
A 5-member panel of the Supreme Court of Ghana has today ordered for the suspension of the Pandai election rerun. This is after the legal team of the New Patriotic Party, led by Gary Nibaku, prayed to the court that they had tried every means to serve the NDC's candidate, who is the first interested person, but they were unsuccessful. After a prolonged deliberation between the judges and the NPP's lawyer, Gary Nibaku, the court therefore granted them the opportunity to serve the first interested person through a substituted service, which is to last for about 7 days. This has brought excitement to the MPP.
First of all, I would like to express our most profound gratitude to the bench. The Honorable Court, in the interest of justice, has listened to the prayer of the legal counsel for the applicants and has ordered that the second interested party, which is the Electoral Commission, should suspend all preparations towards conducting the rerun in Pandai constituency.
For us, we are happy that national justice is taking its course, and as far as we are concerned, we will work with the court along the line to ensure that we get justice, because we believe that we have a case. It's as simple as that.
This tells you that the law is the law. People are in the constituency trying to put themselves together to participate in a rerun. It is not going to happen because this is an election the MPP candidate won. In fact, we won both the presidential and parliamentary.
Meanwhile, the minority chief whip, Habib Idrisu, says the speaker must reinstate Matthew Yindam as member of parliament for Pandai.
I've always maintained that in terms of his status, if you go and read the Court of Appeal rule, 1997 and CI 19, specifically on Regulation 27, 1 to 3, it is clearly indicated and stated in the appeals court's order, the rules of appeal court. Once there is an application pending for stay of execution with the expiration of the 7 days mandatory stay of execution, then it stays, because even the speaker in his ruling on that particular day made reference to this particular appeals court rules that I have just quoted to you. And I think that by law, I think the speaker ought to have ruled and make or remind the court, the House, that Honorable Nyindam still remains the MP for the good people of Pandai.
Meanwhile, the case has been adjourned to 13th January 2026. For Joy News, I'm Fatal Bayaga from the Supreme Court of Ghana.
Well, the Supreme Court's decision has triggered a wave of political reactions and legal commentary. Well, at the center of the controversy is the status of the MPP's parliamentary candidate, Martin Nyindam, and the implications of the court's directive for the disputed Pandai seat. The following Newsdesk report has more.
The Supreme Court's decision has sparked fresh political and legal reactions over the disputed Pandai seat and the status of Matthew Nyindam of the MPP. Majority Chief Whip Roxanne Nelson Dafiamekpo insists the ruling does not restore Mr. Nyindam's position, maintaining that he remains a persona non grata in Parliament.
It is a very straightforward ruling, and there's nothing wrong with this ruling. The Supreme Court is merely saying that upon the final determination of the certiorari application before it, the rerun notice given by Electoral Commission in respect of Pandai parliamentary elections be suspended. It does not affect Nyindam's position regarding his return to the House. He remains, he is not an MP.
Constitutional lawyer Justice Abdullahi has described the ruling as fair and procedurally sound, saying the court acted within its mandate by preserving the status quo.
I think the Supreme Court, on this particular occasion, got it absolutely right, thought through all the options, and came out with arguably one of the best decisions that favors both parties. It's a balancing decision that each party never goes home dry.
Ekuapin North MP Sami Bawku argues the decision should be seen as a unanimous determination by the apex court, not a compromise between parties.
I do not really understand when somebody says it was a balanced ruling. What's the meaning of a balanced ruling? The courts were clear. The Honorable Court expressed their serious dissatisfaction, first of all, with the absence of the Electoral Commission of Ghana. And the Honorable Court said they found that even more disrespectful that the Commission could make time to attend the Supreme Court on a serious matter that borders on the legitimacy of a seat. Where the belief is that we won fairly, the Electoral Commission affirmed our win, and then through the back door and mathematical gymnastics, and with the obsession of trying the dictates of our country, and seek a third-term mandate for the sitting president through the back, they are trying to use all manner of Machiavellian tactics to strip the entity of that we legitimately.
Meanwhile, the NDC's Deputy Director of Elections and IT, Rashid Tanko Computer, has welcomed the development, saying it gives the party more time to regroup and strengthen its campaign in Pandai ahead of any possible rerun.
We are not running away from the country. I mean, nothing changes. Let me put it on record. Nothing has changed. The High Court ruling still stands. The Supreme Court has not made any adverse decision against the High Court decision. It still stands. Nyindam is still a former MP. He's not an MP. He cannot step into the Parliament House. He's a persona non grata if you should dare go there. The law is the law. They shouldn't confuse everybody, and they are confusing themselves and want to confuse everybody to join them. Look, they are only buying their, in fact, they are deferring their defeat.
The Supreme Court has set January 13th, 2026 as the day to hear the case again.
Well, away from that, let's head now to Parliament because the minority in Parliament has opposed a provision in the new Bank of Ghana Act Amendment Bill, which sought to compel the central bank to consult government in determining medium-term inflation targets. The minority strongly raised the concerns on the floor of Parliament during the passage of the Bank of Ghana Amendment Act. Listen to the ranking member on the Economy and Development Committee of Parliament, Kojo Nkrumah.
Saying that the central bank should not determine medium-term inflation. In fact, if you go to the original Act 612, it starts off under the Section 3 by saying that the primary objective of the bank is to maintain stability in the general level of prices. There is a reason for which, as part of the broader economic policy, when it comes to the maintenance of price levels, that is devolved to the central bank. And there's a reason for which it is supposed to operate independently. So while we agree that it is a good idea to bring in a Clause 3A to expressly announce the determination of medium-term inflation, we are warning you that if you now in black and white say that the independent central bank should now do that, shall determine this jointly with the government, you are even sending wrong signals at the lowest level. Today, you may believe that you are a good finance minister who is well-intended and that you are only seeking to coordinate. Tomorrow, what if the person in that chair decides that he now wants literally to have fiscal dominance in making those inflation targeting decisions? And so, Mr. Speaker, my proposed amendment, and I'll leave it here, my proposed amendment is that let us just delete the words jointly with government, so that you also don't fall into this hole that is now becoming clear, that the executive literally wants to start dictating.
Well, here's the Finance Minister, Dr. Kassia Latu-Forsen's justification.
Ghana is in an IMF program, and there is no way a government of any country can introduce a bill that seeks to take powers from the monetary authority that the IMF will approve it. Mr. Speaker, the amendment before us is only sticking to international best practice. And Mr. Speaker, let me explain. Mr. Speaker, monetary policy alone cannot anchor inflation. It doesn't matter what you do. Monetary policy or MPC's decision cannot determine what inflation will be. Mr. Speaker, it is a fact that the fiscal policies of the day is what anchors together with the monetary policies the inflation framework. And so if you are to have a budget before you that says that this is where I'm going with inflation, going south, and the central bank is going north, in the end, you will not achieve your inflation targeted. And what we are saying is that central bank, your monetary policy committee is extremely independent. Take your decisions. By your target, inflation target, the Ministry of Finance or government is not leaving it only to the central bank. Let's plan together. Let's plan together. Let us together anchor inflation. It is the responsibility of any government of the day, to make sure that prices of goods and services does not get out of hand.
You're still watching Joy News Prime. We'll be back after this quick turn. Please stay with us. Thanks for staying with us here on Joy News Prime. Still in Parliament, the minority is calling on President John Dramani Mahama to undertake the first reshuffle of his government. Their call is in reaction to the absence of two ministers who were billed to answer questions on the floor of Parliament earlier today. The following report has more.
Questions advertised in the name of the minister in charge of public sector reforms. Been on the order people for a very long time. Very, very long time. So We have to take it because we'll be rising on Friday. We have to take this question. Otherwise, it's going to be a problem. Besides, front bench, Minister for Agric just wrote to us. I was just given a copy that he cannot come. That's fine. Eric has been a very dutiful person. I won't begrudge him. But his deputy must be here. The president must be watching. The first reshuffle must happen. So that they are Honorable Van der Poel, for instance. He is waiting. He has been lacing his shoe for a very long time. The first reshuffle must happen. Leader, tell the president, the ministers who are not ready to do public business, the president must reshuffle them. Honorable Zuela is ready. Honorable Sasu, for instance, he has been suffering for long.
Away from Parliament, the Greater Accra Regional Minister, Linda Oklu, has directed all metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives to ensure that street lights are provided to them, are fixed and functioning within 1 week. The directive follows a donation of street light equipment by the Regional Coordinating Council, with 4 districts receiving 100 units each, while 2 metropolitan and 2 municipal assemblies received 150 units each. The minister says the exercise forms part of government's Light Up Accra initiative aimed at improving nighttime visibility and curbing crime across the region.
Celebrate the Christmas season as streets, markets, and communities experience increased movement, commercial activities, and social interaction, especially during the night. Adequate street lighting is therefore critical to enhancing public safety, reducing crime, preventing accidents, and creating a welcoming atmosphere for residents and visitors alike. I wish to stress that this exercise does not end with today's presentation. The real work begins immediately after this. I expect all honorable MMDCs to ensure that these street lights are installed promptly in strategic locations within your respective jurisdictions. Priority should be given to markets, public spaces, and other areas where lighting will have the greatest impact. In this regard, all assemblies are required to complete the installation of the street light and submitted a brief report to the Regional Coordinating Council.
Well, she further emphasized that the maintenance of the street lights is a key concern, outlining how assemblies are expected to sustain and manage the installations going forward.
Just get one person as a scapegoat, and the person will just attest to the fact that the person will not go scot-free, because installing street light is very expensive, it's capital intensive, and so we cannot invest that much, and at the end of the day, someone, because of your own personal interest, you just go and steal the wires. We will not accept it, and so we should all be watchdogs and report such incident to us so that we can see the actions we take. One street light is like 700 Ghana cedis. 700 Ghana cedis, one street light. Are you getting me? So if one street light is 700, multiply the number of street lights the government is.
Away from that, after flames consumed 10 vital trading containers at the famous Techiman Central Market, authorities have started investigating the exact cause of the fire while taking into consideration how to prevent it moving forward. But for the traders who lost everything, the urgent questions they are asking are not just about what sparked the blaze, but what they can actually do to be shielded from ruin when disaster strikes. They are appealing to authorities to help. Anna Sabit reports.
A familiar story with a fresh scar. A little over 24 hours ago, flames tore through a section of the bustling Techiman Central Market, a commercial heartbeat of the Bonese region. But this isn't just a story about fire. It is a story about livelihoods reduced to ash, a race for answers, and a critical conversation about resilience. This is what remains of a mini economy. Each of these 10 containers was a world unto itself, a shop, a storage unit, a family's entire investment. Now they stand as a grim monument to fragility. ACFO 2 Naomi Adubia Sapon is the Bono East Regional Fire Commander.
It was a running call that there's an outbreak of fire at the market. Quickly, we dispatched 2 appliances to attend to the fire. Fortunately, my men were able to put it under control in an hour's time. And they were able to salvage 20 other containers. So 10 containers were destroyed with their contents.
Regional Minister Francis Osu-Antwi, alongside the municipal and regional security councils, visited the area on a mission for first-hand intelligence. But his stark admonition highlights a painful vulnerability shared by many traders across the country.
Yesterday, I wasn't around. I went for a program in the Northeast region. I was there when I received information that the Techiman market is on fire. So when I came, I said, no, I can't be in my office. I have to quickly organize a research meeting to come and ascertain the extent of damage.
Containment within an hour, a testament to the firefighters' response. But for those who occupied those containers, an hour was all it took for their world to change. The minister admonished traders across the market to subscribe to insurance policies to help save their lives and protect their properties.
I mean, also take the opportunity to advise all market women and men here that you can't do business without thinking about risk. Anything at all can happen to you as a business person. So we are advising our own people that the earlier they adapt to insurance policies will help them.
The stark contrast, the vibrant chaos of a working market against the chilling stillness of laws. As investigators sift through the ashes for clues to the fire's origin, the victims sift through the ashes of their lives, searching for hope.
We
lost everything. Everything. Barely our capital that we used to do our business is gone. The most painful thing is that those who were trying to help, they also came and steal. They have stolen all the items. But now we are calling on philanthropists and authorities, stakeholders to come and help us. Based on what we've seen, without their help, we can't survive or we can't revive.
Today, the questions are about cause and damage. But the larger question looming over Techiman and markets nationwide is about protection and prevention. How does a nation shield its backbone of micro traders from the sudden shocks of disaster? For now, in this corner of Techiman, the answers are lost in the smoke, but the plea for solutions burns brighter than ever. Reporting for Joy News, Anas Sabit.
Away from Techiman, the Director General of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, Professor Ahmed Abdullahi Jinapo, has announced plans to engage public tertiary institutions over the rising use of fee-paying admission. He said many students are being admitted under such arrangements without the Commission's approval, a situation that could worsen the financial burden on parents. Professor Jinapo made the remarks at the investiture of the Vice-Chancellor of Dr. Hila Liman Technical University.
Light on the issue after first taking a bite of it at the investiture and the 7th graduation of the Dr. Hila Liman Technical University, Director General of the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, Professor Ahmed Abdullahi Jinapo noted that the issue is of great concern to his outfit, where most tertiary institutions are speedily shifting towards fee paying.
Without any prejudice, you can see that most of these people, had it not been the fact that they were given subsidized education, they would have had the opportunity to come to the university. So if somebody who happened to be educated in a secondary school here, the secondary school, first of all, is deprived. They don't have the teachers, they don't have the books, they don't have the classrooms, they don't have the tables and chairs, and by no fault of theirs, it's not as if they are not intelligent. These are individuals, if we were given the opportunity to go to Presec, Wesley girls, Abri girls, these individuals would have made one in chains. They would have made A1 throughout. But by virtue of their circumstance, they have made grades that at least 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, their
coming from very, very poor homes, and they get into the university, they don't get the courses that they would have wished they go to do. And again, you are telling them to pay full fee paying. We think it's unfair.
He disclosed that GTech will soon engage the institutions involved in the act in order to proffer solutions to the anomaly.
The Ghana Tertiary Education Commission takes exception to this. We have invited the various heads of the various universities to a meeting for us to have a discussion about this. We cannot shortchange the poor. We want to know what policy is informing this gradual creep towards fee paying, and we want all and sundry to support us in this agenda.
Water investiture as the Vice Chancellor of the Dr. Techiman Technical University, Professor Engineer Hamidatu Dramani Saka, she has made history by becoming the first female Vice Chancellor of the university and the second female Vice Chancellor in the country's technical universities. Professor Engineer Hamidatu Dramani Saka's speech was familiar, laced with familiar challenges, as spoken about by her predecessors. Hers, however, look into surmounting the challenges, which he spoke with optimism.
As CEO of arguably one of the youngest technical universities in this country, I am aware of the multiple challenges that confronts this institution, the huge infrastructural deficit being the foremost and most worrisome. By the end of my tenure, we should expect the following: some improvement in our infrastructure, some hostels, especially hostel completed for students. Yesterday, we were fortunate enough to have the salt curtain ceremony. And this was made possible through government, through GTech, to have a 400-bed hostel capacity, which has already started.
Our Sudan Minister, Lawyer Charles Wongo Pozum, recalled the challenges faced by the university, pledging the commitment of the government to help fixing them.
Dr. Techiman Technical University remains central to this agenda, and we are committed to championing its needs at the national level. Our region's development architecture relies heavily on the success of this university and will not relent until Dr. Techiman Technical University reaches the status it deserves.
Minister for Labor, Jobs and Employment, Dr. Rashid Hassan Pelepu, who doubles as a legislature for represented President John Dramani Mahama.
You assume this role at a decisive moment when our nation's development hinges increasingly on the technical competence, innovation, and skilled labor force. Your leadership will therefore be central to training and nurturing not just graduates, but also to people you are bringing up and building to take up responsibility of themselves and to their families.
A total of 1,446 students were graduated by the university at the colorful ceremony. Reporting for Joy News, Rafiq Salam. Wow.
Well, let's head now to Nigeria. His late father, Emmanuel Adama Mahama, a politician, once lived in political exile in Nigeria, and he was sent to stay with him to keep him company. He returned to a West African country on Monday, this time to receive a revered chieftaincy title. That is the story of President John Dramani Mahama, speaking shortly after the traditional ruler of Ile-Ife, the Oni of Ife in Osun State, conferred him the honor. President John Dramani Mahama recalled with excitement his stay in Nigeria. Presidential Affairs correspondent Maxwell Agwagba has more from Ile-Ife, Osun State, Nigeria.
We are currently here at Ile-Ife. It is located here in the Osun State in Nigeria. It is considered as the spiritual and ancestral home of the Yoruba people. President John Mahama is going to be bestowed upon a prestigious chieftaincy title, which loosely translates as the President who reorganizes the global space. And of course, we've known the huge contributions of President Mahama in terms of his advocacy for multilateralism. In his address, the traditional ruler of Ile-Ife, His Imperial Majesty Oba Adeyeye Enitan Egunsi Ojaja II, spoke extensively about the deep ancestral ties between the Yoruba people and the Ga people of Ghana.
The Ga people, if you look to your left hand side where you are seated, all the way down here is the Agako compound. That's where they came from. The majority of the entire Ghana population. In Ghana, you will say Akwabo. Here we say Ekabo. Does it sound the same? We are all the same.
President Mahama, in his response, recalled with excitement his stay in Nigeria during his childhood when his father was in exile in the country.
My stepmother of blessed memory, I received this chieftaincy title on her behalf. Hajia Nusrat Balogun. At a point in time when my father had to come into exile, I had just finished university, and it was decided that one of us should come and stay with him. And so I was dispatched to come and keep him company. And so for several years, I lived in Nigeria. I was in Lagos, I was in Offa, and I was even in Kano with our late brother Sharaf Balogun. May he rest in peace. And I was received very warmly, like family. You couldn't tell that I was not originally born here. Almost everybody in Offa knew me. I used to go to different relatives' houses, and wherever I go and food is ready, I'll sit and I'll eat amala or eba and egusi.
Well, Ghana is gearing up for one of its most vibrant Christmas seasons yet, a December sparkling with music, lights, theatre and colour. Well, through the December in GA 2025 program, the Ghana Tourism Authority is inviting everyone to experience the magic firsthand, from festive street lights to concerts and cultural celebrations where tradition meets creativity and the warmth of the Ghanaian holiday spirit fills every corner. Rodalyn Abenza has more in the following feature.
In Ghana isn't complete without theatre. And this year, Uncle White's Festival of Plays returns with renewed force. In Takrady, the coast will beat to Mosque Fiesta December 19 and return on December 24 to 28. The Western region's masquerade culture remains one of Ghana's most colorful Christmas traditions, and this year's edition is expected to draw record numbers. On Boxing Day, December 26, the hills of Ibri will come alive as the Ibri Botanical Gardens host Joy FM's family party in the park. Music will float through the cool air as Kwabna Kwabna, Kwanpa, and Dope Nation take the stage, while cooking competitions and activities at Daddy's Corner keep families entertained. From blockbuster concerts and beach raves at Labadi and Kokrobiti, the city will become a living stage. Christmas in Ghana is no longer just a holiday. It's a spectacle of lights, music, culture, and joy. With many events lined up for the season, enjoy responsibly. Rodalyn Abenza's feature on Christmas activities in Ghana, read to you.
While you're still watching Joy News Prime, we appreciate your company. For more news, please log on to myjoyonline.com. My name is Faustina Safo. Have a pleasant day as you enjoy the rest of our programs. Bye.